Welcome, folks. I am Jabby Kuwait, joined by Chara Kirk.
What's up?
We're looking at Emergency Awesome's video, Eternals, Black Knight deleted scene breakdown, and Marvel Easter eggs. Thank you, Emergency Awesome, for allowing us to react to this. Y'all, if you haven't already, you can subscribe to Emergency Awesome. There's a link in the description below for the video that we're about to look at. If you click on that, you can subscribe to them from there and give the original upvote. While you're subscribing and upvoting, please subscribe here as well, bell icon, all notifications, and pretty please vote this up to let YouTube know you're enjoying what you're watching. Let's jump into this. Here we go.
Oh. That's cool.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Hi, Terry.
More Kit Harrington? That's what was cut out?
I know, right?
Damn it. Why? Why?
Hi, Sprite.
Whitman.
You here to see your aunt because I think she started a presentation about the importance of apex predators in our ecosystem.
This actually helps us to know the relationship of the characters and how he views it. Because up until that moment right there, I didn't know how he saw them. I thought they were just roomies or something as far as he was concerned.
I mean, yeah, aunt makes the most sense.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
I guess. Well, irrespective, that establishes the relationship.
Yeah.
So.
That's ironic, since she helped wipe out an entire species of them.
What species did Cersei help to wipe out?
Deviants. You see this right here?
Yeah, it's a deviant.
It's a deviant's head.
Well, actually, it's the head of a Smilodon, a genus of the extinct Macarodontini subfamily.
Why can't they ever get Thena's likeness right?
It's Athena. Athena.
Just Thena. No A. See that spear she's holding? In real life, it's made of cosmic energy.
Looks like, just loosely like Angelina Jolie.
Yeah. Good job. Good job there. Mm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Cosmic energy.
She's like family to me.
Really? What's your power then?
I make illusions. The reason humans are at the top of the food chain is because you believe in structures and principles that don't actually exist. Gods, nations, money. All concepts, stories, illusions. And guess who taught them to you? Me.
You do know an awful lot for your age.
I'm older than you think. So I hear you've asked Cersei to move in with you.
Has been discussed.
Cool, listen, there are some
touch
things you
stuff.
should know. She's not over her ex-boyfriend. They broke up a century ago. He's hot and he can fly.
Look, I know you don't like us dating. It must be hard growing up without parents. Cersei being all that you have. But I love her. And I promise not to take her away from you.
Well, fine. Go for it then.
What? What is it?
That was actually a really decent scene.
I mean, I can see why it was cut out.
I fucking can't. I think that was a great scene. They should have kept that in there because the thing that was missing, don't they do focus? I guess they can't do focus groups because it's Marvel and Marvel's trying to keep everything secret. And so they don't want anything getting out of the bag. No cats, no dog, nothing, right? I personally would have kept that. I would have fought to find a way to keep that scene in there because I thought that was better than most of what we saw in the movie. Personally, in my humble, dumb, uneducated opinion, I think that was one of the best scenes that they decided to leave out for some odd reason. The camera's moving, you're learning about the characters. It's not like just blowing past, you know, the important stuff. It's letting you settle into it and learn about these people. And you're spending time with Kit fucking Harrington, who is just completely lopped out of the movie for no good reason.
Right. I mean, I would have liked to have the scene in there for the purposes of Kit Harrington and understanding the relationships a little bit more and the dynamics. It's cool as well to just kind of see Sprite being really attitudey and talking about everything because they mentioned this scene. He does reference this scene. I think I know why they took it out because it is a little bit expositional, but it's a nice
The whole
scene.
movie's expositional.
Well, yeah.
You might as well have kept that. That was the most natural of all the expositional stuff that was in the film. I mean, personally, I had a lot of issues. I had a lot of gripes with the movie, and I know that like a lot of you probably didn't, but I personally did. Even on the first viewing, I'm like, this movie has a lot of issues. And that right there would have actually enhanced it for me. It was already long. You got me an extra 2 minutes. Fuck it. Go ahead, throw it in there. You know, at least I'm getting some character development here, because the thing about it is all the stuff that they said in that scene, we did get out of the movie.
Yes.
It's not like the information wasn't there, but the way it's presented here feels natural and it feels nice, as opposed to everything else, which is rush, you know, through the entire movie until the finish line at the end. And I'm just like, well, later on in the film, like you mentioned, Kit Harington reveals, you know, she said this to me, I thought she was lying.
Yeah.
That's a problem of telling instead of showing.
Right.
Right? If you have the scene in there, it's doing both. You're showing us and you're telling us later on as a little bit of a reminder, oh yeah, remember that thing back there? Because he's clearly doubting her here.
Well, yeah.
I would want to see that scene. Instead of us inferring that he was doubting her, I'd want to see that moment. Like, what does that look like when she tells him, oh yeah, we're centuries old? What is his expression in that moment? I would have loved to have seen that. And here we finally got it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I think you need that in a movie like this. Yeah, I would have cut out some other shit and kept that. I thought that was a good scene. And the way she walks, I never commented on it before, but she has this regal way of walking, which I think is actually, it was a great choice on her part or on the part of Chloe Zhao, because when she moves, she has this sense, this air of being way older than she is. And I think that was a great choice on her part.
Yeah, yeah.
Welcome back, everyone. This will be my brand new Marvel Eternals deleted scene. Marvel's finally started dropping a lot of the deleted scenes because the movie's coming out on Disney Plus this week. There's a whole bunch of Easter eggs, so if you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get everything. And I know there's a lot of questions about what's happening with Kit Harington's Black Knight character next. I will talk about that during the video, too. I've already done videos for the post-credit scene, so I will link those in the description below. But if it wasn't clear, this scene is taking place right after Cersei shows up late to her class at the beginning of the movie to find Dane Whitman's Black Knight character, who's making this big metaphor about the seed of perfection being nestled inside the earth. And it's meant to very overtly foreshadow the reveal of Tiamat, the new celestial growing inside the earth and causing all the earthquakes as he gets ready to emerge. Thus, they call it the emergence in the movie. Celestials literally bursting from inside the earth. And the whole seed metaphor is all about Arishem the Judge's celestial seeds that he sends to galaxies all over the universe to birth new celestials, so that they in turn will birth new galaxies themselves, causing the main MCU universe to continue existing. If the celestials stopped cold turkey and didn't create any more new galaxies, like if they all died right now, as long as you believe what Arishem is saying, some of what he says are lies, the main MCU universe would theoretically begin to slowly die of heat death, and it would still take billions of years for that to happen. Like all the current existing suns in galaxies that contain life would have to die first. Like our sun in the Soul Galaxy in real life still has about another 10 billion years before it reaches the end of its life. So we've got a little bit of time before we have to worry about the universe dying.
Okay, so wait, just a summation. He's saying that this process has to happen to keep the universe alive, but it would still take a long time for the universe to die out because of the cold death, is what he's arguing right now.
Exactly.
Okay,
yeah.
I just want to make sure I understood that, because he said a lot of things. So the simple version is the universe would be alive for a long time afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, if all of the Celestials just died and stopped birthing new universes, there's still a long time to go on the universe that we have right now.
Right.
The connection to the Loki series and He Who Remains version of Kang is that he's at the end of the timeline, implying that eventually all the Celestials will die at some point in the future of the MCU, because here, in this place where he is literally the last remaining living being in the universe. That's why he's called He Who Remains. He and his citadel at the end of time here on this rock are the only things that remain in the main MCU universe.
Gotcha.
So after Cersei shows up and starts talking about the concept of apex predators in the ecosystem, Dane Whitman leaves and finds Sprite here where this deleted scene picks up. And at this point in the timeline, he hasn't learned anything about the Eternals yet, so he believes the story that Sprite and Cersei have been telling everyone, that she's her niece and they've been acting like she's her guardian. Because at least till the end of the movie, she had never aged, so they had to create this fake backstory that they told everyone everywhere they moved across time.
Can you imagine being a set designer and whatnot for this scene? Being the location scouter, being the people who helped to develop this scene right here, and it just gets lopped out of the movie. I mean, you got paid.
Yeah, no, I did feel that way watching them in the scene as well. Like, because like you said, it is actually a nice scene. And then to, know that you put a lot of work, because how many camera setups did they have to do?
Yeah.
How many skeletons did they have to build for this whole set and everything, only to have it be cut out of the film because those 2.5 minutes just not convenient.
Right.
If it wasn't clear too, at the end of the movie, Cersei uses the last of the extra Unimind energy that they gained from Tiamat to transform her into a more humanoid form. So Cersei and the Eternals were already fairly powerful in their own right. They had a certain amount of cosmic energy energy. But it took the extra power-up of the Unimind, where she basically took the power of all of them combined and the new celestial power coming from Tiamat, like a massive, massive battery of cosmic energy, and took all that and used most of the energy to transform him into a stone celestial, like he's fully stone now, but also then used a little bit of that to change Sprite into a human.
Right.
But Sprite is still technically an Eternal. She has her powers at the end of the movie. Cersei just made it so that she can age and die like humans. That's also the easy way they explain child actor Liam McHugh being way older, looking way older, the next time they bring Eternals characters back in a future MCU movie. In this deleted scene, the reason she's so hostile towards Kit Harington's Dane Whitman Black Knight character, especially at the beginning of the movie too, isn't because she hated him. It's more about her being mad at Cersei for getting involved with a human and all the complications that it might cause for them. And she was also kind of jealous at Cersei for a bunch of different reasons.
Well, this is kind of what I thought as well, because seeing this scene was actually also very helpful for Sprite's character, because she specifically says her ex-boyfriend is hot. We never had that sense, because hot is a very descriptive word, and it's also, you know, it has a sexual connotation. For her seemingly young woman, right, young girl, going, oh, her ex-boyfriend was hot, shows how she feels towards Ikaris, which we never really got, apart from her going, but I love him.
Well, it was also very overtly spoon-fed to you in that one scene in the forest.
Right.
With the Tinkerbell story.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And here it's like, oh, it would have been nice to have a little hint to kind of go, well, how does she feel?
As she looked like an adult and therefore was capable of having romantic relationships with other adults. And two, because Sprite had been in love with Ikaris this whole time for thousands of years, but Ikaris had been in love with Cersei. So they had this weird love quadrangle thing going on with Cersei, the Black Knight, Ikaris, and Sprite, if you didn't pick up on that during the movie. That's why at the end of the movie, Sprite sided with Ikaris. Even though it was pretty clear that he was not a lolicon, like there was never going to be anything between the two of them, even if they'd been successful at the end of the film and Tiamat had emerged, destroying the Earth. But during this deleted scene, you can see Sprite just messing with the Black Knight, basically giving away all the Eternals and Celestial secrets in not so subtle ways. Like, she really wants him to go away and just leave Cersei. Like, that's why she's trying to freak him out with all these facts. Like, later in the movie, she had another version of this scene where she's referencing Cersei's previous relationship with Ikaris. It implies that some of what Cersei has told him about Ikaris was a total lie. Like, in this scene, she very literally says, oh, he can fly, even though Kit Harington's Black Knight is listening to her, taking it more metaphorically, like, oh, he's a pilot. But that was all meant to set up the big deviance reveal where Ikaris does show up to help them, and we get our big Game of Thrones reunion between Jon Snow and Robb Stark.
Next time I see you, you'll be all in black. It was always my color.
It's funny how that worked out. Next time they did see each other, he was the Black Knight, so he was technically dressed in black. And for reference, the writers were very clear at the end of the movie, Ikaris did die when he flew into the sun. He flew too close to the sun, literally, fulfilling the Greek legend of Ikaris, which we learned was a story fabricated by Sprite when the Eternals lived in ancient Greece. She also kind of tells Dane Whitman that as they're going around and she's pointing out the historical inconsistencies in the museum. Like, all those things that you know about, that came from me. Pretty much all the Greek legends were created by Sprite, even though there is a version of Zeus, the god, in the MCU. We're actually going to meet him in Thor Love and Thunder. He'll be played by Russell Crowe. He's not as powerful as Odin, but he's still very powerful. And Marvel does have versions of actual Greek gods. Like, that's where the Hercules character comes from, for those of you that want to see MCU Hercules show up in the movies at some point. The only thing she's really wrong about here when she's talking to him is the idea that gods don't exist. Because they do exist. We know about Odin, Thor, Hela. They are actual gods in the MCU.
Are you Thor, the god of hammers?
The reason why I think they had this line in the movie, though, was to foreshadow the big twist with the truth of the Celestials. Like, the Eternals start the movie worshipping the Celestials and Arishem as gods. But we find out that all the Celestials are just extremely powerful cosmic beings that are themselves part of a larger system. Like, the idea that they themselves were created by eternity, the living embodiment of the multiverse. So the whole idea in this deleted scene in the beginning of the film is that they're trying to set up the concept that there's always a bigger fish out there. When she starts to freak out here, though, that's when the earthquake started happening right at the beginning of the film, in the middle of Cersei's lecture about apex predators, setting up the big Tiamat Celestials reveal about the emergence. And I know there's a lot of questions about what's happening with Kit Harington's Black Knight character next. I've already done a couple post-credit scene videos, I'll link those in the description below. But Kit Harington's character implies that throughout the whole movie, like this whole time that he's been going out with Cersei, dating her, he's known about the Ebony Blade, the curse of his family, the lineage of the Black Knight, and he just kept it secret from her, the same way that she kept her secrets of the Eternals from him. There's a scene at the end of the movie where he's about to tell her his secret, like, you know, I've had this very complicated family history, just as Arishem the Judge shows up and takes all the Eternals back to the World Forge where he created them. But the funny thing is that the Eternals already knew all about the Ebony Blade and the Black Knight way before this. Cersei herself, at the beginning of the film, gave Dane Whitman his family's ancestral ring as a gift. She lied about finding it on eBay when really she probably had just kept it over the centuries. The Eternals lived in Camelot. So in the MCU, Camelot, King Arthur, all those characters like Merlin were real people. Merlin was probably the Sorcerer Supreme of his era. Merlin created the Ebony Blade. That's why when they go back to the Domo, their ship, and they have all those artifacts all over the place, the trophies that they've collected along the years, Thena sees a sword and Sprite asks, "Is that the Ebony Blade?" She says, "No, that's Excalibur," as in the actual mythological Excalibur. So if it wasn't clear, Cersei, the Eternals, knew the original Sir Percy Black Knight character because they lived in Camelot when all that was going down during the fall of Camelot. The Sir Percy Black Knight is just Dane Whitman's ancestor, so they know all about the curse of the Ebony Blade, and obviously Marvel will cover all that history, the backstory. We'll learn more about the original Black Knight when we see Kit Harington show up next, actually wielding the blade in the full Black Knight armor. The voice speaking to him in the post-credit scene was actually Mahershala Ali's Blade character. It's the first scene ever in the MCU with a brand new Blade, so they're implying that the Black Knight will be in the new Blade movie, like Black Knight Vampire Hunter. Which I think makes sense. He's a very dark, very magic-based character, so he fits well in more supernatural stories. What'll happen though is after they release the Eternals on Disney Plus later this week, I might do another video for Eternals, Star Fox, Thanos, a bunch of other cool Eternals Easter eggs in the MCU.
Wow.
That was interesting.
That was quite thorough.
Yeah. The whole thing that kind of just made my brain explode a little bit was the fact that Cersei gave Dane his family signet ring, right? And I guess I never thought about that. I never put two and two together, because here he is going, oh, I've got this family secret.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, of course she knows. Of course she should know, you know, because of everything that he said, that Eternals were around in Camelot. They would have known the original Black Knight and all of that. So she must know something about his family. So I wonder if maybe she had given him the ring because she knows that it's important and that maybe he needs it in order to get to the next level or something. But then why would she do that if the Ebony Blade is cursed? I have no idea, but it feels like either it's one of those things where Marvel is like, see, so clever, we slipped something in there that's going to be super important in future films or series or whatever the hell we do next. Or it's just something that maybe is a bit of a plot hole.
I really wish they kept that scene in the movie. That's my big takeaway. I saw that and I was like, oh, because most deleted scenes suck. Most deleted scenes you see are like, oh yeah, I can totally understand why they took that out. That's bullshit. Like, just added on runtime. Whereas that scene actually helped the story overall with the flow and everything like that. For me, Eternals felt kind of like, you know, Rise of Skywalker. It just was this like rush to the end of the movie and getting all this information in, and it's just like expository. Even though that scene was mostly just conveying information to the audience, it was being done in such a way that felt natural. It didn't feel like the writers or the actors talking straight at the camera, basically, to tell the audience what's up.
Right, yeah, because it wasn't just exposition that we were getting. We were getting characterization as well.
Right, exactly.
Which was kind of lacking. I think, for me especially, the whole stuff with Sprite and Ikaris, I didn't really enjoy that. Like you said, it was kind of spoon-fed to us and it wasn't shown, whereas I feel like here in this scene, we really did get to at least get some clues about her feelings about him, which would have been cool, you know, as opposed to just being like, she's been in love with him for like 1,000 years. Why should I care? You didn't show me, though.
You know what would have made it even better is if the scene where we're introduced to Sprite, where she's hitting on that guy at the bar, if he looked kind of like Ikaris, just to really drive the point home. And never ever say anything about the Peter Pan Tinkerbell story. Leave that out of it. Just why does that have to be in there? Just show it through all these different, you know, avenues of the film, like having a guy that looks kind of like Ikaris, but he gets wigged out because, you know, his hand goes right through hers because they can't have anything.
Right. Yeah, I wonder if there were other little things. I mean, I think you mentioned that on the second viewing, once you knew about how she felt about Ikaris, you kind of did notice a few more furtive glances from her throughout the movie in that, but I wish that could something more have been done to show how she felt about Ikaris. Absolutely. Yeah.
I think so. But anyway, I enjoyed this scene and breakdown, and yeah. So you guys, thanks so much for hanging out. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that bell icon, all notifications, and vote this up, please. I'm Jabby Kawai. This is
Achara Cook.
Peace out.